In most people's standard, I am in a pretty good shape. Now, I wasn't always like that because 3 years ago I was fat, and in the last 3 years I've been through a fitness journey. During it, I was going through two major cutting phases. In both, I made a lot of mistakes, but at the end of the day, I was doing most things correctly. In this video, I wanna go over 5 mistakes that I made when cutting, that I see a lot of other people make when cutting, and by avoiding all of them, I think that most people that I could see like an extra 10 to 20% increase in muscle mass post to cut. Let's begin with the first one. And this one, along with the last one, I think are the worst ones. The first one, and it is not eating enough protein. So what's the building blocks of muscle? They are amino acids. How the body gets amino acids? Through consuming protein. And when I was cutting for the second time, also in the first time, but I want to touch more on the second time, because in the second time I was actually doing resistance training. In the first one I didn't care about muscle maintenance, but in the second one I didn't really care about protein. So I tried to get more protein in my system. If I had like an easy source of protein nearby that I could consume and it met my calorie goals, I would consume it. But I was eating out a lot of the times during that cut. I still made sure to meet my calorie goals, so that's one thing that I was doing right. But I ate between 80 to 120 to 130 sometimes grams of protein per day, sometimes even 60 and 40 grams. So it was not that I only not met my protein goals on a daily basis in terms of grams. I also made another mistake when it comes to protein intake that also caused me to lose more muscle than I could. And it was not spreading protein throughout the day. When we eat less protein daily, right? Meal timing when it comes to protein, spreading protein throughout the day becomes more important because we have less protein to work with, and by stimulating muscle protein synthesis more evenly throughout the day, total muscle protein synthesis goes up and hypertrophy goes up because of that. When the total amount of protein is higher, there is more of an upper limit to protein. I think, right, that's just an idea that I thought about, but in general, spreading protein throughout the day usually yields more results. I was not doing so. I was doing some kind of intermittent fasting, and I was not eating sometimes breakfast, and I was not meeting the right protein numbers, so I made some mistakes when it came to protein intake, and because of that I think that I could build a lot more muscle. And then there is the third mistake, and it was not about what I was doing in that cut, but when I was doing that cut. The second cut, I was doing it after around 6 or 7 months of consistent training. I was doing it just around the end of the newbie gains phase. Now I could continue with that a muscle building phase and kept going, and I could probably build a lot more muscle, and then when I would cut I would see more results, but I did not. I wanted to get lean and I was impatient, so I decided to just go on and cut. And if I were to instead wait and build more muscle, I would look probably better after the cutting phase. This is how I looked like. I looked pretty good. In this case, my training and my genetics pretty much carried me. But, this was still a mistake. And then there is the fourth one, and it was not tracking the exact deficit that I was on. So, it is pretty clear nowadays in the science consensus, and most people know, basically, and you probably know too, that the higher the deficit, the more muscle loss that will occur, and still fat loss will occur, but on the margins there will be more muscle than if the deficit is lower. I was not tracking my calorie deficit. Now I lost around 1 kilogram per week, 2 pounds per week, which was great. I might have under-eaten sometimes or over-eaten sometimes. This is not necessarily a mistake that really hindered my progress on big margins, but it was a mistake. And if I were to track my calories more meticulously, if I were to use an app, I didn't use an app, I just had a rough idea of how many calories I was eating in mind. I was eating out. If I were to track things with an app, and I were more meticulous with it, I might have seen more results. And then there is the fifth one. and it is not. So one of the best, if not the best foods for cutting are low calorie dense foods. Which are the best low calorie dense foods? Not the best, right? I can say that one food is the best, but one kind of foods that are really low calorie dense and are great for cutting are fruits and vegetables. I was eating some fruit and some vegetables sometimes, especially vegetables, but I didn't really include them in a diet plan. I didn't really have a diet plan. I was just every day. I might have eaten similar meals on a daily basis, just a few 20, 30 meals, right? In general, that's the meals that I was eating, that's the variety, but I was not following a plan. That's not a mistake, right? The mistake was that I was not including fruits and vegetables in my diet, and these were low-calorie dense foods that could reduce my hunger and help me maintain a deficit with more ease. I was not eating them a lot, and because of that, I had a harder time both hunger-wise and just the mental aspect-wise, losing weight. The food that I was eating, it was more calorie dense. I needed to eat less of it. I felt more restricted, and I felt more hunger in general. If I were to include more fruits and vegetables, I would have felt better. And these are the mistakes. And if you, on your journey, will avoid these mistakes, so you might not avoid all of them. There are a few things that by doing you will see results. Being on a calorie deficit is one of these things. Training in the gym is one of these things. You will see good results. But if you will go and avoid all of these mistakes, you will see even better results. You will either maintain or build muscle during a cut, and you will look better afterwards. Not much better, because when not doing the extra stuff, you are just doing the basics, and the basics are enough. But still, they will yield you more results, and that's how you essentially see more results. You do things better, you avoid mistakes, and that's essentially it. If you enjoyed this video, you can like and subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow. If you forget a free course about how to get in shape, check out the link in the description. Bye.